Paris. City of love, romance, and dreams. So they say. I used to say it too. But ever since that day, the day of the murder, I've always associated my beloved Paris with death. I was at home having a bath when my editor called.
Collard, get your ass over to the Palais Royal now. You got an interview. With Pierre Carchon. Yes, the Pierre Carchon. No photos, so leave your gear at home. He asked for you personally. Don't ask me why. Anyhow, this could be big, so if he makes a pass, don't forget. Just smile, say yes, and keep taking notes.
So charming and so very apt. Pierre Carchon was a media king, a national hero, and one of the most infamous adulterers in Europe. He and his wife Imelda were just one step down from royalty. Whoa, I hate mimes, but unless you humor them, they don't go away. Here I was, the palace of the Media King and the Ice Queen. I pressed the doorbell and set in motion a chain of events which would change my life forever.
Yes? What is it?
Madame, my name is Nico Collard. I'm here to see Monsieur Carchon.
Come up, we're on the first floor.
Madame Carchon, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Yes, I'm sure.
The Ice Queen was certainly living up to her reputation. Will you be staying for the interview?
Mademoiselle, I know little of my husband's business affairs, and I care even less. I certainly have no intention of watching him pore over yet another pretty little journalist.
Pretty? You're too kind, madame.
Ah, the talented and very beautiful Mademoiselle Collard. Such a pleasure to meet you at last.
Monsieur Carchon, I am honored.
Oh, I'm sure you are.
Call me Pierre, please. But I do not flatter you idly. I was a friend of your father. He was a great man.
My father? He never mentioned.
He and I were very close. And then his death. So tragic. I must... Imelda, your damned cat's in my study again. Another Ming vase, I suppose. Excuse me for one moment, my dear girl.
You journalists are getting younger each year.
Perhaps it's the rest of the world getting older, madame. That was no cat.
My God, what? Monsieur Carchon!
He's dead. I must call the police. You'd better stay here.
There was a man. It was the mime. Do you think he...
Well, I believe we can rule out suicide, don't you?
No wonder they called her the Ice Queen. She would have been top of my list of suspects if I hadn't seen the attacker myself. And if I hadn't come across a couple of murders just like this already. One of the most important men in Europe murdered And here was I, Nico Coulard, alone at the scene of the crime. Should I wait for the cops? Or start my own investigation? It was a no-brainer. Mimes and guns don't usually go together, but I had an idea that this was no ordinary mime. I'd come across this murderer before, and written about him. The costume killer, at least that's what I'd called him. Some people hate searching corpses for clues. Me, I'm okay with it. Reminds me of an old boyfriend. In his pocket, I found a ticket stamped Bateau de la Conciergerie. Taking the ticket meant I'd tampered with the evidence. There was no going back now. It was a boat ticket stamped Bateau de la Conciergerie. When I was a little girl, Papa used to take me on the Bateau Mouche as a treat. His lifeless eyes stared blankly at nothing. I closed his eyes. It was the least I could do for the poor fellow. I opened his eyes. I closed his eyes. I opened his eyes. I closed his eyes. I opened his eyes. Best to leave the crime scene as I found it. I closed his eyes. It was the least I could do for the poor fellow. Carchon had been shot. A bust of Pierre Carchon, humble servant of La France. Pierre Carchon again. His eyes seemed to follow me around the room. You had to hand it to the Ice Queen. She sure knew her fabrics. A small round piece of glass had been cut out of the pane. This was a professional job. The killer must have used a ladder to reach the window. He was long gone. Guess he folded that ladder up, popped it in his pocket and took it with him. The bookcase was filled with obscure first editions. The police could turn up at any minute. Somewhere there were clues to the murder, and I needed to find them. Imelda had talent, but I certainly wasn't going to tell her that. A medieval pageant. Original, no doubt. The tapestry must have cost a fortune. A a Louis XIV's table with an antique cloth. Imelda had taste. But hey, with a husband that rich, taste is easy. A beautiful cloth had been draped over the table. It was embroidered with an unusual cross. I reckoned that cloth might just turn out to be useful. There was a tiny hole in the tabletop. Part of the inlay had been chipped away. Imelda had talent, but I certainly wasn't going to tell her that. It was a tube of acrylic paint, French ultramarine. Just the color I was after for my bathroom.
I'm sorry, I have to go. Someone is...
Young lady, what are you doing? Oh, this paint. It's my favorite color.
For God's sake, keep the damn stuff.
Excuse me, madame.
Yes?
Why would a mime want to kill your husband?
Pierre had plenty of enemies. Half the husbands in Paris for a start.
How did your husband know my father?
I have no idea.
You didn't know him? Thierry Coulard?
Pierre knew a lot of people I didn't know, most of them women.
I am so sorry for your loss, madame.
No, you're not. You're a journalist. Journalists don't feel sorry.
Not true.
We shall see.
Why did your husband send for me? What did he want to discuss?
I have no idea. His business was his business.
He never told you anything.
No, and frankly, I preferred it that way. This is quite a scoop for you. I suppose you're already inventing the headlines.
Just because I am a journalist.
Don't patronize me. You're all cut from the same cloth. Do you have any moral sense at all?
Yes, that's why I do this job.
You do it to see your name in print.
As if my editor gets the byline, I just do the work.
Well, don't expect my sympathy.
The police will be here soon, madame. Is there anybody you would like me to contact? Family, friends?
No, I have no family. Pierre and I were... He was all I had, really. Not much, was it? The dutiful wife. That was my role. He never talked, never let me in.
I know one thing, madame.
What?
If you want to find out who killed your husband, then you let me do the job, not the police.
Why? How do I know I can trust you?
Your husband invited me here today because he needed me. I think he knew somebody wanted to kill him, and he knew I could help.
I doubt it was your database he was after.
You're wrong. I was onto his killers already, I am sure of it. Please, you owe it to him.
I don't know.
All I need is a few more minutes to look around before the police come.
You really do have a moral sense, don't you? I trust so few people. And perhaps Pierre really did think that you could help. Of course it wouldn't have stopped him seducing you too. Here, take this. It's the key to the drawing room next to the library at the end of the hall. It was Pierre's room. I rarely went in there. I couldn't. I was too scared of what I might find.
Thank you. I promise you won't regret this.
Imelda now looked shocked and scared. Almost human, in fact.
Now we were getting somewhere.
This wasn't the time for me to lie on the sofa doing my Marie Antoinette impression. Though it is very popular at parties, especially with gay guys. Don't ask me why. The painting showed the Carchons together, in love. As the poet said, the past is a different country. Or did I read that in a fortune cookie? There was the very faintest of clicks.
Behind the picture was a safe. The safe was locked. I needed the key. As expected, the desk was yet another priceless antique. Yawn. The blotter and in tray had clearly been placed with mathematical precision. My heart skipped a beat. It was a carved elephant. But not just any carved elephant. It had been made by my father. I knew for certain because in my apartment I had its exact twin, carved into a box he had made. So Carchon had known my father. They really must have been friends. I decided to take the carved elephant. It clearly meant nothing to Imelda. I didn't need a sheet of blotting paper. Not while it was blank. It was a sheet of blotting paper in a leather holder. Its cracked surface looked ancient, reminded me of its owner. I didn't want to take the tray, but I knew that I could use it. Locked, not surprising, really. I didn't need the lights on. It was light enough already. It wouldn't fit. Pierre Carchon was stiff for the last time. It was one of my hair clips. My favorite, in fact. It must have fallen when I was knocked down. A magnificent antique table. Aha! Nico, you are just so damn good at this stuff. Instead of comforting Imelda, I was ransacking her flat. Why? Because there was something going on here, and I had to get answers before the cops arrived. And hey, she'd been rude to me, so she had it coming. The safe's lock was too secure for me to pick. How come it always works in movies, huh? In the safe was some kind of artifact. There were strange symbols on its surface. It looked like the printer's blocks I'd made at art school. If there was one thing I'd learned about symbols, they are always important. But these symbols scratched into stone were impossible to read. I needed to find a way of printing them. At least the stone was round. But what could I use for ink? And what could I print on? Sure, I was stealing, but I knew Imelda didn't know about the artifact, and Carchon was past caring. The cloth was embroidered with an unusual symbol. I smeared the paint all over the cloth. When I do messy, I really like to put my heart into it. I hope they don't make lace like that anymore. I wiped the paint-covered cloth over the surface of the stone cylinder. It took me right back to art class at school. And Maurice, my gorgeous art teacher. Such a shame they had to fire him. Ah well. Concentrate, Nico, concentrate. Genius! The roller and the paint worked just as I planned. But what did it say? A secret message had been printed on the blotting paper. It was some kind of coded message. It read, "Sub judice." I may not have learned a lot as a journalist, but that was a term I knew well. It means a legal case that is before the courts. Below it was a sequence of letters that made no sense. I suddenly realized there was a connection between the boat ticket and the coded message. The boat ticket was stamped Bateau de la Conciergerie. The Conciergerie on the Ile de la Cité, by the river, housed the ancient law courts. So, sub judice could in this case mean literally under the law courts, below the conciergerie. I was pretty sure I'd found all I could here. And besides, all this opulence was making me pine for my regular life of poverty. This was a huge story. It was also one heck of a puzzle with a lot of pieces missing. But I was going to crack it. And if I could just remember the name of that fancy prize you get for being an ace journalist, I was definitely going to win it this time.
Did you find anything useful?
This carving, do you know anything about it?
It was Pierre's. What does the statue have to do with...
Please, I need to know.
He was given it by a friend, something to do with Africa.
He never explained any more.
No, but I think it was important to him, always on display. Why?
It was carved by my father.
Oh, I see. I didn't know.
Imelda, I will do everything I can to find the killer.
Thank you, my dear.
And if the police ask,
Don't worry. You were never here.
sub judice was the key. I was going to have to find a way under the conciergerie. I decided to head straight for the quayside on the Ile de la Cité. If there was a way of getting under the conciergerie, it would have to be from there. Canchon wasn't the type for messing about on the river. He was up to something down here. Something that got him killed. An old boyfriend of mine owned a barge once. Dampest relationship I ever had. In every way. I wasn't leaving yet. I had a hunch there was more to find. The fence wouldn't move. I tried pushing the fence, but it wouldn't move. A strange pair of locks stopped the latches from releasing the gate. One down, one to go. Nothing like a good convent education for honing your lockpicking skills. The cross looked familiar. I'd seen it before. It was embroidered on the lace cloth I'd picked up at Carchon's apartment. I knew I was on the right track. For a room full of junk, that was one very sophisticated lock system. This place was definitely fishy, in more ways than one. Oops. Moving the skiff would only damage it more. I'd wrecked the skiff. Not that it was particularly seaworthy anyway. So, a stone door. There had to be a mechanism to open it. A rough hole was cut into the pillar. Mystery solved. Carchon's stone cylinder slotted into the hole with a satisfying click. The words sinister and Dexter were carved on either side. Now any good convent girl like me knows the old Roman for left, right, left, right. But what did it mean here? Rolling out the painted cylinder had given me a print of a secret message. It read, Sub Judice. Below it was a sequence of letters. Another click, another step closer. I made a mistake. The lock reset. A satisfying click told me I turned it to the right position. It felt like tumblers in a safe. Another click, another step closer. Oh no! I had to start again. A satisfying... Another click. I love the sound of locks clicking open. Oh my god! The slab came down with a hell of a force. The cross looked familiar. I'd seen it before. This wouldn't hold the cross up. But I was on the right track. I needed to use something sturdier. With nothing to hold it up, the cross dropped back down again. Ut lex vel ut next sumito. To the law or unto death, submit. I guess these people didn't believe in liberté, égalité, or fraternity. Yes, I'll admit it. I was a swot at school. I also wore lipstick and the nuns never knew. The panel wouldn't move. It was an old shell case, probably from the 50s. I knew what I was talking about. I grew up watching war movies. An old shell case. I wondered what that was doing there. Lifting the cross closed the entrance door and also opened some kind of stone panel. Ingenious. The stone cross was propped up. Now I was getting somewhere. I touched the slot. Nothing bad happened, which was good. I've always been attached to my fingers. This slot was designed for something specific. But what? I removed the shell case. I removed the stone cylinder. The artifact slotted into the hole perfectly. Behind the old walls, I could hear some kind of mechanism groaning into life, but whatever had been triggered had now jammed. The gap was too thin for me to get a grip. I needed something thin enough to prise the door open. I removed the shell case. The cross didn't drop back down. Some kind of mechanism was holding it up. The stone slab had flattened one end of the shell case. I needed a gap for leverage. I touched the slot, which was good. I removed the shell case. Another good use for a shell case. Another secret room. Somebody had something to hide. But was it what I was looking for? Wow! Through the darkness, I could see that this was a stateroom. But for what purpose? And how did it tie in with Carchon? Amazing! The thing still worked. The room lit up bright as day. Lady Justice stared out from a stone door, which was locked and reinforced with steel bands. A slot next to the safe door. All I had to do was find something to fit into it. It was like being back in kindergarten. All I needed now was a shape that would fit the slot. The flags had faded, but their message was still pretty clear. Fascist regalia, a message of hate. The desks were covered with a layer of dust. No one had worked here for years. The desks were covered with a layer of dust. It was a drawer. I wondered what was inside. Inside the drawer, I found a note written in some kind of code. It read, Pierre, full report to follow. But this is too urgent to wait. Arno and Yamada both dead. This is not a coincidence. Indeed, it seems that all of us who came together in July are in danger. Take great care. X. Damn! Don't you just hate it when that happens? The drawer had come out easily enough, but wouldn't fit back into place. A photo, long lost, had fallen down the back of the drawer. It was very old, but there was no mistaking the guy in the foreground. Carchon. Behind him were soldiers, a burning village, and a corpse. The photograph was cropped on the right-hand side. Somebody else in the picture obviously didn't want to be in it anymore. I wasn't surprised. This was Africa in the 60s. An uprising was being brutally suppressed. And here was Mr. Media himself, Carchon, doing the suppressing. The photograph was not just powerful evidence. It was also my ticket to one explosive story. But there had to be more for me to discover. It was pretty clear from the lack of dust that someone had been working very recently at this desk. This was the article I'd written about the costume killer. My suspicions were right. Carchon had cut it out. 2 businessmen had been killed. One in Italy, one in Japan. In each case, the killer had worn a costume, a penguin, and then a snowman. But that wasn't the only link between the 2 murders. Both the victims had been big media do-gooders, and I proved they were just the opposite. So, how did they fit in with Carchon? I had enough for a story, an amazing story that was going to make my reputation and blow Carchon's to pieces. I needed to get home fast and start typing.
Bonsoir, Collard.
Nico, it's Ronnie.
Hey, Ronnie, you cracked open the champagne yet?
Are you crazy?
What's wrong? Wait a minute. You didn't print it, did you?
Of course I didn't print.
That's the best piece I've written.
The last, as far as I'm concerned.
It's important.
It's suicidal. You can't destroy a national hero.
He deserved it.
His corpse isn't even cold.
Ronnie, 2 hours ago I told you what I'd found. You loved it. You begged me to write it up immediately.
2 hours is a long time in newspapers, Nico.
Someone's got to you, haven't they?
Listen up, Nicole, and listen good. Pierre Carchon had a lot of friends. Powerful friends. For your own sake.
Forget what happened.
You got it. End of conversation. Good night.
This should have been my big break, but I knew there was nowhere else to sell this story. If Ronnie wouldn't print it, nobody would.
Bonsoir, Collard.
Mademoiselle Collard, my name is Plantard. I need to talk to you about your story. Your Pierre Carchon story.
How did you know about that?
There are people out there, madame, who will be very upset by this story.
Oh, really? Well, it's their lucky day. It's been spiked.
Yes, I know. We must meet.
We must?
I have information relating to your costume killer stories. Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., Café de la Chandelle Verte, Rue Alain Court. I shall be wearing a grey overcoat. You must talk to no one about this.
You can't tell me what to...
Tomorrow at 8. I'll be waiting.
People complain about newspaper articles all the time, but not usually before they're printed. I was beginning to feel scared. This guy, Plantard, could I trust him? Should I meet him or forget the whole business? I didn't have an answer.
I'd only been in Paris for a week, but already I'd fallen in love with the city. My latest discovery was a little cafe, La Chandelle Verte. I was pretty sure the waitress was taking a shine to me. That old Stobart charm, I guess. Little did I know my reverie was about to be so rudely interrupted. As I picked myself up, I was really angry. 1 minute I'm on vacation, the next minute some clown's blown me up. I knew right away what I was gonna do. I was gonna find that clown and bring him to justice. Because justice matters. Justice is up there with liberty, and equality, and, fraternity. After all, that's why I'd studied law, wasn't it? Well, that and the money, of course. The big story was about the brutal murder of a French media magnate, shot down in cold blood. The guy oozed confidence, like a regular French statesman. I noticed the writing at the foot of the page. It read, Salah ad-Din, 1345. The leading article referred to the visit of a Nobel Prize winner from some unpronounceable Eastern European state. The column was devoted exclusively to rumor, gossip, and sensationalism. I noticed the writing at the foot of the page. It read, Salah ad-Din, 1345. I considered straightening the table, but I figured it best not to disturb the evidence. The clown had fled into this alley, but there was no sign of him now. I took a deep breath and prepared to climb the drainpipe. I guess the clown hadn't escaped over the rooftops. It smelled like someone had dumped a truckload of fish in a locker room on a hot summer afternoon. There was nothing of interest. The cover was too heavy and awkward to lift with my bare hands. The sight of the dead guy's staring eyes turned my knees to jelly. I tried not to meet his stare as I searched the dead man's pockets. No wallet, no papers, no credit cards. The guy's past was a blank page. It was the body of the old man. It was hard to believe I'd seen him alive only minutes before. A mysteriously undamaged bottle of spirit stood on the bar. The waitress was clearly suffering from shock. I needed a stiff drink, but I hated the taste of brandy.
Oh, my head. Never again. How much vodka did I drink? Oh, no, don't tell me. What is your name, Sherry?
George Stobart, ma'am. You look like you could use a little help.
I could use a little drink. I feel sick, dizzy, and bruised. I don't even remember the party.
Just relax and take it easy. You've been knocked out.
You don't say. What happened?
There's been an explosion. You should try not to move.
Are you a doctor?
Yes, I am. I studied under Dr. Benton.
Who is he?
Only one of the most brilliant medical minds on this planet. He taught me everything I know about medicine. Can you remember anything at all?
No. I need a drink. Pour me a brandy.
Is that straight or with ice?
Just give me the bottle with a teat on it.
I guess a little drop won't hurt.
That's better.
She knocked back the brandy as if it was water. I was glad I wasn't picking up the check. Apart from a bit in the middle, the mirror had smashed into 1,000 pieces. Bad luck for someone. I hoped the fact that the mirror was already broken meant I'd escaped the bad luck. Hey, wake up! She didn't respond. If I wanted another cappuccino, I'd have to serve myself.
Freeze! Hold it, right there.
Whoa, don't shoot. I'm innocent. I'm an American.
Can't make up your mind, huh?
I demand to see the American consul.
Drop your weapons and get down on the ground.
Put that thing away, Sergeant Moo. I apologize, monsieur, but I cannot permit you to leave.
Am I under arrest?
Ah, no, I would simply like to ask you some questions. En avant, to the café, marche. What a mess. This bombing is an outrage, is it not?
Stop that, monsieur.
Has it occurred to you that he may be dead, Moo?
Oui, monsieur. But I prefer to look on the bright side. Besides, I recall a case where the killer escaped by feigning death. However, in this case, the man is quite dead.
Examine the girl and take her statement, if you can. Et maintenant, to business. Your name, please?
George Stobart. I'm from California.
And what brings you to Paris, Monsieur Stobart?
Travel. I'm touring Europe.
You chose well. The city is most beautiful at this time of year, no?
Yeah, I guess so, apart from the bomb blasts.
Were you in the vicinity of the cafe at the time of the explosion?
Yeah, I was sitting out on the sidewalk. I was lucky I wasn't killed. The inspector passed over my remark with no reaction.
Did you see the deceased enter the cafe?
No.
Did you see anyone else in the cafe?
I'm sorry, Inspector, I didn't.
It never ceases to amaze me how unobservant the public can be. Is the girl all right, Moo?
She'll live if she survives the hangover. She says the American claimed to be a doctor. He forced her to drink the brandy.
I can explain everything.
Can you, monsieur?
Almost everything.
Eh bien, I have heard enough.
What do you mean?
I am satisfied that you know nothing. You may leave. Enjoy your vacation, Dr. Stobart.
What about my personal safety? Can't you at least give me some advice?
What can I say? Stay alert and look out for suspicious characters.
And don't cross the road until the little man shows green.
Great advice.
I honestly believe you are in no danger, monsieur. Should you remember anything of importance, please contact me. My card.
Thanks.
That is all. You may go.
There's not much to go on, monsieur.
On the surface, no. But what lurks inside the subconscious? If the door can only be opened.
Are you serious, monsieur? I thought your interest in psychic detection was purely academic.
Sergeant Moo?
Ah, Monsieur Stobart, n'est-ce pas?
That's correct. You remember me.
The retention of such data is part of my duty as a gendarme. That is how crime is fought, through attention to detail, not intuition.
Yes, sure. I was one of the last people to see the victim alive, Sergeant.
Does that worry you?
Yes, it does. I feel I owe it to him to find his killer.
That is best left to the authorities, monsieur. Did he speak to you? Tell you anything?
No, he just grinned and nodded.
Don't let it trouble you, monsieur. Go home and try to forget.
What is Rosso doing with that girl?
He is giving her the once-over, as you Americans say. Once he gets his teeth into a case, nothing will shake him off.
I have a confession to make, Sergeant. I really did see the clown. He ran into the alley across the street.
Why did you not tell this to Inspector Rosso?
I didn't want to sound foolish.
And you did not want to come involved, no? Do not worry. It is of no consequence. I will inform Monsieur l'Inspecteur when he has finished with the girl. Did you follow him?
I lost him. I figure he went underground.
Do you know how many kilometers of sewers there are beneath this great city?
It's not a question I've lost sleep over.
I have no doubt that Inspector Rousseau will organize a proper search.
Look, Sergeant, the inspector gave me his card.
Yes, monsieur. He wants you to advise him if you have any information concerning this case.
Well, I'd be glad to talk with him, but I don't want him working his psycho weirdness on me.
Ah, no, monsieur. You are confusing the science of parapsychology with witchcraft.
Oh, yeah? What's the difference?
We don't do sacrifices.
I found this in the street, Sergeant.
That, monsieur, is a newspaper, no?
There's a note written on it. Salah Eddin, 1345.
Aha!
That stumped you, hasn't it?
I have never been stumped, as you put it, in my life, monsieur. It is the name assumed by the clown, no?
Salah Eddin the clown? I don't think so. See you later, Sergeant. Excuse me, mademoiselle? Hi. My name's George Stobart.
Oh, an American by the sound of it.
Yep, that's right. On vacation in Paris. Some vacation, huh?
You were here when the bomb went off?
Sure was. Sat right out in front of the cafe.
Did you notice a middle-aged man, maybe 60, with a hat and overcoat?
I couldn't believe it. She hadn't even asked how I was feeling. Yeah, he went inside just before the bomb exploded. You weren't related to him, were you?
Oh, no, nothing like that. I'm Nicole Collard from La Liberté.
What is that, some kind of nightclub?
Oh, no, it's a newspaper.
You're a reporter?
I'm a freelance photojournalist.
Say, you could interview me about the bombing. An eyewitness account, minutes after the outrage that shook the whole of Paris. You know, real-life drama, human interest, that kind of stuff.
I'll just stick to the facts, thank you. Did you see who planted the bomb?
I know it sounds crazy, but he was dressed like a clown.
A clown? It's him again.
See you again, I hope.
Later, Georges.
The card read, Augustin Rousseau, and gave an address to the south of the Montparnasse Cemetery. It was a Paris daily tabloid newspaper, full of sex, scandal, and sports results. The muscular workman wore a morose expression, like a silent warning to leave him to get on with his job. Hey, you!
I thought you'd been arrested.
No, it was a misunderstanding.
When he pulled that gun, gah! I thought that was it. Those automatics pack quite a punch, you know?
He made a mistake. He thought I was a terrorist.
You? A terrorist? Ha!
He was only doing his duty, I guess. Take a look at this.
Hey! You're a cop?
Don't shout about it. I'm working undercover.
Who are you looking for?
That's confidential. Did you see a clown come by this way?
A clown? Like in a circus?
Yeah, with makeup and a big red nose.
Huh! Those guys are funny, aren't they?
Not in my experience.
I love the circus, especially the horses.
You haven't answered my question. Have you seen a clown?
You think I've got time to watch everyone who passes by? Some of us have to work for a living.
Did you see an old guy with a briefcase?
Wait, silly old coot. Do you know what he said to me? Work fascinates me, he says. I could watch it all day. Quel bit. I could have knocked his block off.
Look, I know you're busy, but surely you'd have noticed a clown.
I told you already. I didn't see a thing.
He was wearing multicolored baggy trousers and makeup.
He'd be a poor sort of clown if he didn't.
Listen, I have to find that clown. He's a killer.
Why would I want to help the cops?
Community spirit. Together we can combat crime and stuff.
How do you know this guy's a killer? Did you see him in action?
Didn't you hear the explosion? The cafe was blown up.
I wondered what that bang was. Any bodies?
Yeah, an old man was killed.
Merde. I didn't think it was that serious. What about the waitress?
Oh, she's fine.
Thank the saints.
Would you like to read my newspaper?
I haven't got time to read that. Can't you see I'm busy?
You could read it on your lunch break.
10 minutes is all I get. And if my boss had his way, I wouldn't get that. He'd have me on a drip, so I didn't have to stop to eat.
Oh, take the newspaper and quit complaining.
Pah! Look at this. Damn bleeding heart liberals. Cha! Save the dolphins. Catch them and eat them, I say. All that fuss over a bunch of fish. Nah, that's more like it. Look at the size of those. Like champagne bottle corks, no? Ah, what's this? Saladin running in the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe.
It's a racehorse?
A horse? A legend. Bucephalus reborn, mon ami. Like a streak of lightning she is. Do me a favor, won't you? Keep an eye on my hole. I'm off to put some money on that nag.
What about your toolbox?
Stuff it. Help yourself.
It was a battered metal toolbox. I'd found just what I wanted, a tool for lifting manhole covers. It was a huge and weighty-looking engineer's telephone. Set into the huge gate was a smaller access door. The door was securely locked. The door was securely locked. I lifted the cover to reveal what smelt like the entrance to a sewer. It was a shiny red plastic ball, sat incongruously on the slippery green-slimed floor. As I picked up the plastic ball, I realized it was intended to be worn. It was the clown's red nose. It was a soggy, crumpled paper tissue. I scooped up the sodden tissue. It was cold and greasy, like breakfast leftovers. It was the soggy tissue I'd found in the sewers. I took hold of the scrap of material and unsnagged it from the spike. It was the scrap of material. Hi there.
Hold it right there, you sewer rat. I knew you'd come back, and now I've got you.
What are you talking about?
You're trespassing. Come out of there, immediately.
That's what I'm trying to do. Give me your hand.
Ha! You won't catch me with tricks like that. Keep your distance, monsieur.
Okay, okay.
Now, what were you looking for?
A telephone. I need to make an urgent call.
There is no telephone here. I want to know what you were doing in the sewer.
Didn't you hear the explosion?
In the sewer? A deadly cocktail of combustible gases and chemicals, most likely.
No, at the cafe. A deadly cocktail of accordion music and villainy. Most definitely.
What? The cafe? Blown up? Mon Dieu! That is awful. Did you say accordion music?
Yeah, that fiend had no mercy. He was disguised as a clown. By the time the bomb went off, he'd run to the sewer and made his escape.
Ah, mon Dieu! Then, the man I chased, do you think that man and the clown are one and the same?
Well, yes, it had crossed my mind.
Ah, that still does not explain what you are doing down the sewer. For all I know, you are in league with him.
Oh no, I'm just a tourist.
Most tourists are content with the Eiffel Tower, the Louvre, or the Pigalle. I didn't realize my waste pipes were such an attraction.
Was the guy you saw carrying a briefcase?
I didn't notice. Now are you going to leave, or do I have to call the police?
Do you know the waitress at the cafe?
Oh, she isn't hurt, is she?
No, she's fine.
Oh, thank heavens. A poor girl like her isn't safe with the likes of you roaming the streets.
Can't you understand? I'm not a gangster. I'm an American tourist.
Ah, that's what you say.
Tell me about the man you apprehended.
What is there to tell? He was a typical criminal type. Just like you.
Do you recognize this material?
I am not telling you anything.
What does this tissue mean to you?
Nothing, monsieur. It's disgusting. What on earth possessed you to show it to me? Someone has emptied their nostrils into it.
Take a look at this false nose.
I've never seen it before in my life.
Do you recognize this material?
I am not telling you anything.
Perhaps you'd like to take a look at my card?
What is this? Inspector Augustin Rousseau? What does that say? Hominoid Division?
A homicide. I think the ink's smudged.
Then you are not a tourist.
Okay, I'm not. I lied to you, and I'm sorry.
Don't apologize, monsieur. You know, I had a feeling there was something different about you. It is your posture, your poise. Oh, yes. There is no mistaking the bearing of a disciplined man. And I should know. I was in the army, you know. When I was your age, I was fighting for my life in the African desert. How can I help you, Inspector?
Does this piece of material mean anything to you?
That is the same cloth as the jacket I found. I'd recognize that pattern anywhere.
This is what I used to open the manhole cover.
I have one just the same as that, monsieur. I will fetch it if you like.
No, don't bother.
Oh, it is no bother, monsieur.
Nah, forget it.
Just trying to be helpful, monsieur.
Now, about the jacket you found. Do you have it here?
No, monsieur. One of the sleeves was badly torn, so I sent it for repair. A pity, because otherwise it was a fine piece of quality tailoring. It had the tailor's name inside on the label.
Where did you send the jacket?
I gave it to an itinerant Romani seamstress.
Just my luck. Was there anything in the jacket pockets?
Not a sou. You know what I think?
Do tell me.
He changed out of the clown suit and cunningly disguised himself as an ordinary person.
Looks like I'm up against a mastermind. What was the name on the label?
It was a foreign name. Todrick, I think.
Did you get the address?
There wasn't one, monsieur. Only a telephone number.
Well, I don't expect you to remember a phone number you've only seen once.
74 98 08 59.
You're kidding. That's his phone number?
Yes, that's it. A little trick with numbers that I learned in the desert. I was taught the technique by a Tuareg shaman.
That's incredible.
It comes in handy at the supermarket checkout. Do I get a reward?
Honesty, monsieur, is its own reward.
Then I'm glad I do not rely on honesty to pay the bills.
Tell me about the man you apprehended.
He was a mean one, monsieur. He grabbed me in an armlock. His face suddenly next to mine. His grip was like iron. But he did not know what he was up against. Oh no! He made a big mistake when he took on one of the desert hyenas.
Yes, I get the picture. Was the guy you saw carrying a briefcase?
Why, yes, he was. Clutched in his arms like a baby.
That belonged to his victim.
Oh, what do you think was in it? Drugs? Stolen jewels?
I don't know. But the killer thought it was worth a man's life.
Nothing is worth that, monsieur.
Do you know the waitress at the cafe?
You can't suspect her, surely.
Just answer the question, please.
Yes, I know her. Quite well, you could say. She came to work at the cafe 6, 7 months ago. I look forward all week to the relief she gives me when she visits.
Really? So you'd miss her if she wasn't there?
Oh, mais oui! Who else would I find to cut my toenails?
I have to be going. Thanks to your help, the citizens of Paris can sleep a little easier tonight.
Vraiment? I was only doing my duty, monsieur. Good luck, Inspector. I hope you catch that killer soon.
So the clown had escaped into the sewer, come up into the courtyard, and then slipped back into the street here. It wasn't much, but it was more than the cops had done.
Hello? Who is this?
Hi, my name's George Stobart. You don't know me.
Correct, Mr. Stobart. I don't. What can I do for you?
Well, I'm trying to trace one of your customers. Could I maybe come over and talk to you?
No. No, that's not possible.
Oh, okay. Forget it. Listen, all I want is a name.
What are you talking about? Who are you working for?
I guess you might say I'm acting in the interests of truth and justice.
Ah, thank God. I thought you were the police.
There are innocent lives at stake, Mr. Todrick. Lives that you could save.
You're collecting for charity, yes?
No, I'm not. All I want from you is information.
Go on. I'm listening.
What do you know about the clown who bombed the Café de la Chandelle Verte?
I don't have no idea what you're talking about.
You're cool, Todrick. But I think you know more than you're saying.
I don't know who you be, but sure I am you don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, this is ridiculous. Quit playing games with me, Todrick.
I tell you, I know nothing about no clown.
Thanks for nothing, Todrick.
Excuse me, Sergeant.
What do you want now?
I believe this material came from the clown's clothing.
If you are right, monsieur, then the clown must be an Englishman.
Well, how do you figure that?
Only the English would wear a suit made from material like that.
Don't you like the English?
It is not so much a question of liking, rather one of taste. They have none.
See you later, Sergeant.
Excusez-moi, sergent. Que voulez-vous savoir? J'ai trouvé ce nez rouge dans les égouts. Que faisiez-vous là? Je cherchais une piste. C'est par là que le clown est parti. Vous persistez à dire que vous avez vu un clown, monsieur. Mais bien sûr. Et ce nez rouge le prouve. Il va vous falloir plus que cet appendice nasal pour convaincre l'inspecteur Rousseau. Ceci ne représente pas une preuve? Pas du tout, monsieur. À plus tard, sergent.
Excuse me, Sergeant.
What do you want now?
Do you recognize this dirty tissue?
No, monsieur, I do not.
I found it in the sewer.
Perhaps it would be better if you put it back there.
No way. This could be an important clue.
If you say so, monsieur.
Did you notice the young woman who was here earlier?
The girl with the camera? Yes, monsieur. She works for one of the newspapers.
Did you see where she went?
She has gone home to develop her snapshots. She took one of me, you know. She said mine was the kind of face that makes great pictures.
She did?
Oui, I have great depth of character. That's what she told me.
Did she leave her address?
No, monsieur. But I have her telephone number. 50 48 26 17.
Thanks.
She said to call her in a few days when the photographs are ready. I thought I'd take the best shot of me and use it for personalized Christmas cards.
Great idea, Sergeant. I'm sure your family and friends will be astounded. What do you suppose this tool is used for, Sergeant Moo?
It looks like something an obstetrician would use, monsieur.
It was with tools like this that the clown made his escape.
I don't understand.
He opened up the hole and disappeared into the bowels of the earth.
If you say so, monsieur.
See you later, Sergeant.
Entschuldigen Sie, Sergeant. Was wollen Sie diesmal? Bis bald, Sergeant.
Scusa, sergente. E ora cosa stai cercando? A dopo, sergente.
Perdone, sargento.
¿Qué quiere ahora?
Ya nos veremos luego, sargento. Perdone, sargento.
¿Qué quiere ahora?
Ya nos veremos luego, sargento.
Hello, Nico Coulard.
Hello? It's George.
Ah, oui.
You said to call if I could help.
Have you any news for me?
You bet. I met a witness who spoke to the clown. And I know where the killer gets his suits.
No kidding. Hey, I'm impressed.
You are? Well, it wasn't easy.
Look, why don't you come here to my apartment later this afternoon?
Fine. Where do you live?
361 Rue Jarry.
Okay, I'll come over.
I was used to working alone, but I had to admit it felt good with George on the case too. But there were some things I was going to have to do alone, and fast. I needed the answers to some questions. Who was the costume killer? And why did he murder Carchon? Why did Carchon ask for me to interview him? How did he know my father? And why was my editor so scared? There was some kind of secret war going on out there, but who was on which side? One thing I did know. I wasn't going to get the answers sitting at my desk. My first Teddy. Never had a boyfriend as loyal as him. I was beginning to hate the phone. All it brought me was bad news. My old table had seen better days. I was beginning to know how it felt. There wasn't anyone that I needed to call. It was a photograph of my father, the first one I ever took, with the first camera he ever bought me. No messages for me. No messages for me.
You have no messages. You have no messages.
The box was one of the few things my father left me. The elephant on the lid was a perfect match to Cochon's. The box was carved by my father. It never had a key. The box was one of the few things my father left me. The elephant on the lid was a perfect match to Cochon's. My first Teddy. Never had a boyfriend as loyal as him.
I really do not know where we are going, but I pray to God that we are gonna get there. Stay with me, don't leave me where you going. I can't be left alone out of my own hair. I think I know exactly what you're thinking, cause I think I feel the same way too. Take my hand and let's do a little more walking, walking to the moon. Let's go to the stars. Everyone dreams of a love like ours. Hand in hand, finally. I was broke, but now I'm complete. I really do not care where we are going. As long as we're together, I do not care. You call, but you never did, but you never did. You said you called, but you never did.
It was my neighbor, the so-called psychic.
Mademoiselle Collard.
Oh, hello there. Don't tell me. I'm going to meet a tall, dark man.
No, I don't think so. Why would you say that?
Oh, just a wild guess.
Anyway, your cousin's female and very pretty.
What?
Your cousin from Marseille. How could you forget her so soon? She was only in your apartment yesterday.
Ah, really?
Such a charming young girl.
Isn't she? And in my apartment, you say?
She let herself in, of course. She's got a key.
Suddenly, everything made sense. My apartment had been bugged. That was how Plantard knew all about my article. How did I know? Because the only cousin I have is a sweet little guy called Jean-Marc, who runs a patisserie in Le Touquet. These people were determined, which meant they were also very dangerous. I suppose she'd forgotten which apartment was mine.
Oh, Miss Collard, you're a mind reader. That's just what she said.
Oh, I bet it was. Well, I'd better be going. See what my sweet cousin's been getting up to.
Au revoir, mademoiselle.
Bonjour.
Bonjour, mademoiselle.
Do you know anything about this boat ticket?
No, mademoiselle. I am not a tourist office.
What do you think of this shell case?
I think whoever stopped that one must have a sore bottom.
Take a look at this cloth.
It was once very beautiful. With a little work, it could make rather a nice hat.
I know. People have no respect these days, do they? No. What do you think of this carving?
It's nice, but I wouldn't flash it around this neighborhood.
What do you think of my hair clip?
Very nice. One day I might be able to afford one of those, mademoiselle.
Ever seen a safe key like this?
In my business, I don't come across many safes.
I don't suppose you're any good at unraveling codes.
My beautiful grandmother was a cryptologist for the Resistance. But all I inherited were her good looks.
What do you make of this message?
It will take you on a journey that begins where it ends. In laughter and in tears, in sadness and in joy.
You got all that from this paper?
No, it's from a song. I heard it on the radio this morning.
It wouldn't be sensible to let her know about Carchon. I took this stone cylinder from a safe.
Interesting. Let me give you a word of advice. If you ever want to know what is written on it, you should smear it with paint and then roll it on paper.
What?
It's a gift, mademoiselle. I never question it.
The woman who claimed to be my cousin. Could you describe her again?
Well, she was your height, her hair lighter than yours, but otherwise she was very like you. But with impeccable manners, of course.
I bet. Au revoir.
Au revoir, mademoiselle.
Bonjour.
Bonjour, mademoiselle.
Je suppose que vous n'avez jamais revu ma chère cousine.
Non, mais bien sûr, je ne peux pas en être certaine. Je ne suis pas du genre à colporter des ragots toute la journée et à espionner mes voisins, vous savez.
Au revoir.
Au revoir, mademoiselle.
The door was locked. The workman looked about as eager and helpful as your average rod digger. Hello, could I ask you some questions?
That depends. Are you a cop?
No, I'm a journalist.
Bit late, aren't you? They already took away the body.
I'm doing a follow-up on this story. Have the police finished with the crime scene?
What does it look like? I got orders to board up the windows, and that's what I'm doing.
Tell me, are you related to the workman I saw digging the hole?
Don't talk to me about flobage. Pah!
Okay.
He just won a fortune on the horses, and he won't give me a cent.
Well, it's his money.
When he was broke, he was happy to touch me for a loan. Brothers should look after each other, he used to say. He's changed his tune, now he's brassed up.
So the body's been removed?
I certainly hope so, or it'll stink to high heaven when they take down these boards.
Shouldn't you check?
Are you kidding? They don't pay me enough to put up boards, let alone check for dead bodies.
You're doing a fine job.
Damn right I am. You should be writing about me, not that idiot that got blown up.
The heroes who pick up the pieces when disaster strikes.
Exactly.
Well, give me your best smile and maybe I'll put your picture in the article.
Oh, right. Just give me a minute to do my hair.
The workman looked about as eager and helpful as your average rod digger. Hello?
Yes?
I need to take some more pictures.
Of course. My pleasure. Just give me a moment.
Hello?
Yes?
Would you recognize this?
That is the key to a safe. A Warren special, if I'm not mistaken.
You see this ticket?
Are you trying to bribe me?
No.
I don't blame you, of course. Good-looking fella like me.
He wouldn't be interested in a substitution cipher. Look at this secret message.
Very nice. But it's not secret now, is it? It's just a message.
Do you know this man?
He looks like a nasty piece of work. I had an uncle who was with the fascists, but we never talk about him.
What happened to him?
How should I know? We never talk about him.
Have you ever seen anything like this?
What do you think I am? A plumber?
He wouldn't be interested. Do you know how I could get the paint out of this cloth?
What do you think this is? Household Tips Week?
What do you think of my shell case?
Are you in the scrap business?
Of course not.
Pity. I've got some rubbish just like that I need to get rid of.
Do you like this coffee?
It's the kind of thing you pick up for a couple of euros at Les Puces de Saint-Ouen.
Would you like this hair clip?
What do you take me for? Some kind of a pervert?
I need to take some more pictures.
Of course. My pleasure. Just give me a moment.
There might have been clues down there, but I was relieved I didn't have a sewer key. The drain pipe had been pulled from the wall. Some idiot had clearly tried to climb it. The pipes weren't going to help my investigation. I needed some direction, some clue to where I should go next. It was held in place by wires. Maybe it wasn't that after all. Maybe it was a cell phone transmitter.
I would be obliged if you did not touch the art, mademoiselle.
Bonjour, monsieur.
Bonjour, mademoiselle.
Can I ask what you're doing?
I am guarding the scene of a terrible and heinous crime.
Yeah, this statue. Tell me about it.
Au contraire, mademoiselle. This statue is a pure and visionary statement, a comment upon man's self-imposed isolation within a debased societal framework.
Not a crime, then?
The only crime you will find here is the murder of the great Monsieur Carchon.
No. How dramatic.
I know. Here in this very building, no less. It is top secret, but according to Carchon's wife, the killer was dressed as a mime. Police believe there was an accomplice, a young female journalist. Even as we speak, she is being hotly pursued up and down the land. No stone is being left unturned.
Good place to look for a journalist, officer.
We police are no fools.
Evidently. Why would a mime kill Monsieur Carchon?
He was a hired killer, I expect. Everybody knows mimes don't leave prints.
No. How would you like a nice hair clip like this?
I must warn you, mademoiselle, that I have been trained to resist such improper advances.
What do you think of my elephant?
A poor piece, to be honest. Derivative, crude, forgettable.
Oh, really? I was just wondering where I should stick it.
Somewhere that doesn't get much light?
That's just what I was thinking. I'd be crazy to show him the paper with the code. Ever see symbols like these?
Only at the bottom of a bottle, mademoiselle. Ha! You see what I did there? I always find a little humor breaks the ice at a crime scene. Don't you agree?
I knew better than to show him a safe key. You must be quite an aficionado of modern art.
Au contraire, I adore it. In fact, I dabble myself.
Oh, really? I used to dabble myself, but I managed to quit in the end. Ever seen one of these?
Not since I was a boy. My father taught me how to whittle using a metal cylinder like that.
I bet that kept you quiet.
Indeed it did. I'd never talk to him again. He died before I finished.
No. Ever seen anything like this?
Oh, that's good. That's very good. You have talent, my dear. This is clearly your medium.
What do you think of this boat ticket?
Mademoiselle, if you think taking me on a boat trip down the Seine is going to get me into bed with you, then you are mistaken. I have been trained to resist women offering boat tickets, and men, too. We are up to date on gender issues, you know.
Take a look at the shell case.
My God! This must be from the gun that killed him!
Are you sure? I think it is from an army field gun.
Ah, yes, of course. The size, that's the giveaway, isn't it?
How was Monsieur Cachon killed?
He was shot in cold blood with a gun.
Why was he dressed as a mime?
I have my own theory. Either he was mad, or he was a real mime, trying to throw us all off the scent by cunningly not wearing a disguise.
How long have you been in the police force?
All my life, mademoiselle.
It shows.
Thank you. I'm sorry, mademoiselle. This is a crime scene, and I cannot permit you to pass beyond this point.
The smashed window hadn't been repaired yet. There was just a sheet of flimsy plastic over it.
I told you to not touch the art.
So, where had my pretty new cousin hidden her little bug, eh? I was going to have to search everywhere. It was a photograph of my father. The first they hadn't played.
You have no messages.
Vous avez 0. Nouveau message.
Wir haben keine neuen Nachrichten. Nessun nuovo messaggio.
No tiene mensajes. No tiene mensajes.
The phone was the obvious place to look for a bug, but this handset hadn't been opened for years. Besides, they would have just bugged the line. No bug, just a 20-year-old piece of gum. The box was carved by my father. It never had a key. The elephant on the lid was a perfect match to Cauchon's. But that small metal disc underneath it in the chest was a recent addition. The box was one of the few things my father left me. The elephant on the lid was a perfect match to Cochon's. But that small metal disc underneath it in the chest was a recent addition. A small, sinister-looking metal disc had been tucked under my father's box. Oh, chère cousine, you left me a little present. You shouldn't have. You don't scare me. Espèce de... There wasn't anyone that I needed to call.
You have no messages.
I really do not know where we are going, but I pray to God that we are gonna get there. Stay with me, don't leave me where you going. Said you call, but you never did. But you
There
never
wasn't anyone that I
did. You said.
I needed some direction. Some... Bonjour.
Bonjour, mademoiselle.
I don't suppose you've seen my dear cousin again, have you?
As I said, I don't think so.
Au revoir.
Au revoir, mademoiselle.
It was a boat ticket stamped Bateau de la Conciergerie. The cloth was covered in blue paint. I hope... I didn't need to call anyone. There was a small door set into the entrance gates, but nothing to say who lived there. The door was locked. The police had been quick to clear away the wreckage and arrange for the window to be boarded up. There was nothing I could do. The workmen had everything under control. The police had removed the body, but nothing else looked disturbed.
A panel had been blown away, revealing a gap. From this angle, I could see that something had been lodged in the gap behind the pipes. Behind the table were some damaged pipes. There was nothing of interest beyond some bloody debris. Now I'd seen it in the mirror, I could make out something behind the pipes. Voila! The police and forensic teams had missed a vital piece of evidence. Some kind of pouch. On the pouch was the cross symbol of Cochon's organization. I was on the right track.
Hey, what about my photos?
Oh, of course. How could I forget?
Well, I'm waiting. Get your camera out.
Camera. Oh, I forgot. It broke.
Alors, they should never send a woman to do a man's job.
Well, this woman had fooled him easily enough. And found the evidence the police had missed. On the pouch was the cross symbol of Cochon's organization. Inside the pouch were two items, a strange metallic artifact and a letter in some kind of code. The artifact had a sword laid across scales. There was a picture of Lady Justice on the locked panel in the room below the conciergerie. I needed to take a closer look at the objects I'd found in Plantard's pouch. Another coded message using the same cipher system. So, Plantard was involved with Cochon. un autre message codé. Il utilise le même système de déchiffrage. Ainsi, Blancard était lié à Carchon.
Plantard. Pierre mort. Meurtrier a dû suivre la piste d'Arnaud et de Yamada. Il va bientôt venir pour nous. Reste vigilant. La fille de Thierry a ouvert le coffre de Pierre. Elle m'inquiète. Imelda. Voilà qui remettait sérieusement en question l'innocence d'Imelda. Plantard travaillait pour elle et pour Carchon. Mais pourquoi Plantard avait-il voulu me rencontrer? Était-ce un piège? Peut-être se sentait-il trop impliqué et avait-il ressenti le besoin de m'en parler? J'ignorais quel était le fin mot de cette histoire, mais une chose était claire. Cette histoire valait la peine qu'on tue pour elle. Sur l'artefact, une épée reposait sur une balance. Il y avait une représentation de la justice sur le panneau fermé dans la salle sous la conciergerie.
The strange metal artifact I found in Plantard's pouch had pointed back to the quayside. Plantard's key fitted the lock, so he must have used this place too. A photograph had been torn up. If I could just arrange the pieces. Oh my God, it can't be. There was no doubt about it. It was a picture of my father. Papa? Oh, God. After what I'd gone through, I thought I could face anything, but not this. My father, the one person in the whole world who I truly admired, standing with Cachon while those murderers carried on with their evil work. My father, grinning at the camera. I couldn't believe it. I realized that I desperately needed to get to the bottom of this story, and that I really needed George.
Oh, hi.
Bonjour, monsieur. Would you like me to foretell your future?
No thanks.
I'm very good. It only takes a minute.
Thanks all the same, but I'm not superstitious. Besides, if it only takes a minute, that's not much of a future to look forward to. What can you tell me about this material?
It's a very expensive piece of cloth, monsieur.
What can you tell me about this tissue?
Nothing.
Do you recognize this nose?
No, monsieur.
What do you make of this tool?
Is it something a dentist would use?
No, it's for raising manhole covers.
Formidable.
I've changed my mind. Will you tell my fortune?
You're going on a long journey.
My, oh my. What a surprise. Can you tell me anything I don't already know? How does this fortune-telling routine work?
If I knew that, I wouldn't be selling flowers for a living.
Haven't you ever wondered why you were blessed with the gift?
Well, it's a bit like satellite television, I suppose. Some of us are born with a built-in receiver dish. I just happen to be one of the lucky ones.
Are the flowers for sale?
Oui, monsieur.
Okay. I'll take a bunch of those white ones.
I wouldn't do that if I was you.
No?
They are lilies, monsieur. Some people associate them with death.
Yikes. Well, thanks for telling me. What other flowers do you have?
Dahlias?
What do they signify?
Insecurity?
I don't want to give her the wrong idea about me. What about the tall yellow ones?
Those are iris, the flame of passion.
And the little yellow ones?
Sensuality.
Well, they're no use to me. I want to make an impression, not jump down her throat. Can you really foretell the future?
Only time will tell, monsieur. The strange thing is, I can't seem to see myself in the future. Other people, I have no problem. But when I try to see what might happen to me, nothing.
That must be scary.
Maybe. I figure it's a kind of natural safety mechanism. Either that, or I don't have a future.
Do you know a young woman called Nicole Collard?
Yes, I do. She lives upstairs from me in the apartment block across the street. The door isn't locked, but you'll need to give it a gentle nudge. It sticks, you see, because of the damp. The landlord said he'd fix it before winter sets in. He's been saying that for 3 years.
How long has Mademoiselle Collard lived here?
A few months. She's in for a shock when the cold weather comes. Drafty windows, insufficient heating. It's a struggle to keep warm. The only reason I stay is because the rent is cheap. Your young lady, she deserves better.
I thought Mademoiselle Collard was a successful photographer.
Not as successful as she makes out for all her fine clothes. Oh, I've heard her crying herself to sleep at night.
That's awful.
Now don't you let on that I've told you. She's proud, that one. Too proud, if you ask me.
Have you seen anyone out here watching Mademoiselle Collard's apartment?
Yes, I have. A strange man. Tall and thin as a broomstick. He kept his face hidden, but I saw his eyes peering from evil little slits.
How was he dressed?
A long brown raincoat with an hat.
Or like Humphrey Bogart?
Yes, but he didn't have Bogart's charisma. Besides, this guy looked like he needed a toilet. You never saw Bogart clenching his buttocks like that.
Is there anything else you can tell me about Mademoiselle Collard?
No, monsieur.
See you later.
That's right, monsieur, you will.
It was the door to Nico's apartment. Remembering the flower seller's advice, I pushed the door gently just above the lock.
Hi.
Bonjour. I'm glad you could make it, monsieur.
Please, call me George.
Fine. I'm Nicole. Take a seat, George. Eh bien? And what have you been up to?
I've been exploring the sewers underneath the cafe.
I thought I could smell something bad.
The clown used the sewer to escape and to change out of his costume. I guess he was in a hurry. He left his jacket behind.
And?
I got his tailor's phone number.
You had better luck than I did.
Luck, she said. Luck. Hard work, I'd call it. What happened?
My editor told me to drop this story. Can you believe it?
But you're not going to do that.
Oh, no. I'm going to find out what's behind these killings. It just doesn't add up. It almost feels like some sort of conspiracy. The police in 3 different countries have kept very quiet about the murders. The press don't connect them at all. They blame them on political, religious, or militant minority extremists.
Well, that covers just about everyone. I found a piece of material near the cafe. When I showed it to the concierge, he recognized it right away.
It's very distinctive, all right. Just wait until you see this. I developed a film I shot at the cafe. Here, George. It's an enlargement I made. Look what that guy's wearing.
Checkered pants. The same material as I found in the sewer.
That's right. This guy shouldn't be difficult to find.
Oh, no?
Take a close look at his right cheek.
A scar in the shape of a horseshoe.
Or a crescent moon.
I found this false nose in the sewer.
Hey, what's this inside it?
The contents of someone's nose?
Don't be cross, George. It says La Risée du Monde. Masks and costumes. It's a costume shop near the Gare Saint-Lazare.
I'll check it out. Maybe the owner remembers who hired the clown costume. I found this tissue down the sewer.
That's disgusting, George.
No. I think the stuff on it is grease paint, like actors use, or clowns.
It's still disgusting. Get rid of it.
Who was the guy you were supposed to meet?
His name was Plantard. I didn't know him, but he called me last night. He said he had a story which would interest me. He asked me to meet him at the cafe.
How did Plantard get your name?
Through the newspaper, La Liberté. I'd written an article linking 2 unsolved murders, one in Italy, the other in Japan. The cases were remarkably similar. A wealthy victim, no apparent motive, and a costume killer. Plantard said he could supply me with more information.
Tell me more about the clown's previous victims.
The first was Arnaud Bellotta, the millionaire pharmaceutical baron. He made his money from amphetamines in the post-war slimming and diet boom. Imagine it, millions of housewives literally speeding their butts off. The only witness in the case was his Filipino au pair. She swears he was lured to his death by a snowman.
What about the clown's second victim?
Yamada, the controversial Japanese politician. He inherited his fortune from his father's electrochemical consortium.
How did he die?
At the hands, or should I say flippers, of a giant emperor penguin.
A snowman, a penguin, and now a clown.
I had been about to add mime to the list, but stopped myself. I really didn't want to have to explain to George about my father's involvement with Cochon.
You know, I hate to admit it, but this is scary. And I'll tell you this, I will not be accepting any invitations to costume parties.
I don't blame you for being scared. I am too. But this story could be my only chance for a big break.
Or an early death. Tell me more about yourself.
There's nothing much to tell.
Well, how'd you get into photography?
I guess I owe that to my father. He bought me my first camera. I was 8, and my parents had just split up.
Did you live with your father?
Yes. My mother went off with her new boyfriend. I didn't mind. Papa was all I needed. 4 years later, he died in a plane crash.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all right. I don't mind talking about him. He was more like an older brother, really. Always joking and laughing. Papa always wanted me to study art. That's why I went to college.
Did you learn about photography at college?
God, no. I couldn't afford the materials. We were billed for everything we used. Paint, canvas, paper. Most of my year turned to minimalism. It was cheaper. I used to go poaching in the park for squirrel hair. The only time I wasn't hungry was the term I did printing. I used to eat the potatoes.
You're making fun of me, aren't you?
Oh, no.
How come you enlarged this photograph of me?
Because I noticed the guy behind you, of course.
This is the tool I used to get into the sewers.
Fascinating, George.
You're not interested, are you?
Oh, of course I am. I think it was very brave of you to go down those sewers.
Yeah? Well, it was kind of scary, but, well, I had a job to do. I have to go.
Okay, I'll see you later.
The guy's spoon-shaped face was mournful and humorless. He looked like a vegetarian in a slaughterhouse. It was an antique phonograph, the kind you have to wind by hand. It was an antique phonograph, the kind you have to wind by hand. Excuse me?
Bonjour, monsieur. Please, come in. Welcome. Leave the mundane world behind, for in these four walls, fantasy is king.
I don't want a costume.
Didn't you ever dress up when you were a child?
Not that I remember.
Incredible! You'll be telling me next that you never shared your elder sister's lingerie.
I don't have a sister, and I think I'd look pretty silly in a brassiere. I just need some information.
Of course. How can I help you?
I'm looking for a man who hired a clown costume from you.
Oui, monsieur. I do not see how I can help.
Don't you keep a record of costumes that you've rented out?
Of course, monsieur, but...
Well, then, I'd like to check your records. Give me the names of everyone who's rented a clown suit.
Impossible. There are too many.
Have you heard of a man named Plantile?
I do not recall anyone of that name.
Does this dirty tissue mean anything to you?
Let me smell that. Bestheimer's number 7 white pancake.
Theatrical grease paint, right?
Oui, monsieur. La crème de la crème of Thespian accoutrement.
Have you sold any of it recently?
Yes, 2 cans.
Do you want this red nose back?
Not after it's been worn, thank you.
Do you recognize this man?
Ah oui, he was here this morning. That is the man to whom I sold the grease paint. I remember the scar on his face. He chose 2 costumes, Bozo the clown and Seamus the pixie.
A pixie?
Very smart. Green silk with a taffeta lining. He gave me his name as Monsieur Khan.
What does this tool mean to you?
Nothing, monsieur.
Thanks for your help, buddy.
My pleasure, monsieur. Allow me to shake you by the hand.
Huh? Well, okay. What are you trying to do, kill me?
You did not find it amusing?
I never saw the funny side of electroshock therapy.
Eh bien, it is yours to keep. A gift?
Do I need a license?
No, but I give you a word of warning, monsieur.
What?
Remember to switch it off before you visit the toilet.
It was the shake and shock buzzer I'd been given by the man in the costume shop. It was the soggy tissue I'd found in the sewers. The nose was hollow. Printed on the inside were the words, La Risée du Monde, Paris. It was a bright red plastic nose, part of a clown's costume. It was Nico's photograph of the man we suspected of killing Plantar. It was a metal rod with a handle at one end and a short crosspiece at the other. It was Rosso's sidekick, Sergeant Moo. Excuse me, Sergeant.
What do you want now?
Would you like to shake my hand, Sergeant?
Not while I'm on duty, monsieur. The gesture could be misconstrued.
Do you recognize the man in this photograph?
No, monsieur.
It's the guy who bombed the cafe. The clown.
This man looks nothing like a clown.
He's taken off his grease paint and costume.
Then there is nothing to link this man with the killing.
Nothing? Look at those murderous eyes.
Hardly likely to get him convicted.
Do you know a man named Khan? He's a shifty-looking guy with a scar on his right cheek.
No, monsieur. Has this man any connection with the bombing of the cafe?
Yes. I believe Khan was the name he used when he hired the clown costume. I know the identity of the dead guy. His name was Plantar.
Is that so? You knew him, did you?
No, but...
We'll know everything there is to know about him soon enough.
I'm trying to be helpful here.
The best way you can help us is to go home, monsieur.
Is Rosso here?
Yes, he is. You wish to speak to him?
Yes, I do.
One moment, monsieur. It's Stobart, monsieur. He insists on talking to you again.
Did he say what it was about?
No, monsieur.
Very well.
Hi, Inspector. Remember me?
But of course, Doctor. My mind is a well-ordered faculty. A mental classification system that's the envy of the Bibliothèque Nationale. No tricks, mark you, monsieur. Just exercise. Just as our muscles waste through inactivity, so our minds decay. But there is no need. If only people would learn to exercise their wits daily.
If he was trying to impress me, it worked. He was pompous and patronizing, but he had style.
Eh bien, if you called about the bombing, you're too late. Investigations have been closed.
But
I have been taken off the case.
what about the murderer, the dead guy?
It is out of my hands.
Don't you want to know what I found out about the killer?
I told you, monsieur, the case is closed. I have washed my hands of the whole affair.
Then I'll have to continue my investigations without your help.
No. You must forget the business of the crown completely. Go back to being an ordinary tourist, Stobard.
Did you find out the ID of the guy who was killed in the explosion?
I already knew who he was.
I heard that the bomb victim's name was Plantar.
Your sources are reliable.
He was a big shot at the Treasury, wasn't he? Maybe that's why you've been taken off the case.
I'm sorry, monsieur. I cannot comment.
So long, Inspector. See you later, Sergeant.